Hello, everybody. It is time to continue with our charcoal practice before we get to our charcoal still life. And we are going to make 2 shaded spheres, okay? So the first thing you are going to need is a ruler and a pencil, and you are going to need to either draw a line that's 2 inches down and a line across, and then make a smaller font than what Mrs. G did, or you can have something nice and big like this. Because mine is so big, I kind of had to modify my rectangles. So that was the first thing I did. And then I made it a little fun with some Sharpies. You don't have to do that as long as you have a font from dafont.com in pencil. I will be very, very happy about that. Okay, so once you have your font, the next thing you're going to do is make 2 rectangles, always using a ruler. Please do not freehand this. And you are going to make a 5 by 3 rectangle. You're going to make 1 and then you're going to make 2. And then my space in between is 1 inch. So I have 1 rectangle and I have 2 rectangles. Okay. Then I gave myself an inch space and I made a long rectangle that is almost 7 inches. It's 6 1/4, and then it is an inch across. And I divided this up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different little rectangles. They are not perfect. They are not completely even the way that I would like them, but they're good enough. Okay, so make 1, 2 rectangles, make your value scale, and then the next thing you're going to do is make your sphere. Now, for all intents purposes, I would really like your sphere to be as circular as possible. So Mrs. G is going to use this little stencil, and because my fingers are so large, let me pull this down a little bit. I am going to just quickly trace around it lightly in pencil. Okay, which is awful. Look at how terrible Mrs. G's circle is. So I will go back and make a better circle. If you have something easier to trace, this side is probably going to be better. Let's try this side. Okay, take 2, everybody. I hope you are getting a good laugh out of my terrible tracing skills. I'm actually usually really good at tracing. Okay, that's a better sphere. I'll take that. All right, now as soon as I have this done, I am going to cut my rectangle in half. So half of 3 is 1 1/2. And I'm going to do it on this side. So what you do to one side, you always do to the other, so you have a perfect measurement. And then I am going to just draw a line straight across. Okay, so now I have my circle kind of sitting on a table, and I will be ready to rock and roll with this. Now let's repeat the same thing on rectangle, I almost said square, on rectangle number 2. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to divide this in half again. Okay. All right, so now I'm ready to go with all things charcoal. So this is the first step in setting up your page for the shaded sphere. Okay, now step number 2, we need some charcoal. We're going to get a little on the dirty side, but it's a necessary evil and we have to do it. So our first shaded sphere is going to be with compressed charcoal, and our second shaded sphere is going to be with a charcoal pencil. A black one, please, and not a white one, okay? Now, when we do our sphere, we have to remember that our light source is coming this way. So your brightest white should be right here. And I'm not going to draw it in because it is a lot easier if you just kind of blend with your charcoal, whether you're using your fingers or whether you're using a handy dandy paper towel, okay? So the first sphere is going to be used with compressed charcoal, and the second one is going to be used with a charcoal pencil. But before we do that, we need to make ourselves a value scale, okay? We've got 10 values right here, and the bottom one should be our darkest dark, and the top one should be white. You should not touch this one at all. So because I have the most control with a charcoal pencil, Mrs. G is going to do a quick time-lapse section so that you can see me do this super fast. And then I'm going to do a time-lapse of sphere number 1. And then I'm going to do a time-lapse of sphere number 2. So hang tight and get ready to watch the value scale. Okay, so we are now done with two different shaded spheres. The top one is charcoal that is compressed. The bottom one is a charcoal pencil. You can see that I was able to get a lot more darks from this one than I was able to get in that one. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is give this to Mrs. G. We will spray it, and then we will take off our tape, and then we will label value scales, and then we will label this on this side, compressed, and then charcoal pencil. And then you can take a picture and submit it if you are happy with your shaded sphere. We will also get a piece of paper and kind of stick it in between here too. So just in case there's any transfer from your value scales onto your shaded sphere.